Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, welcome to Industrial Talk, the #1 industrial-related podcast in the universe that celebrates you industrial professionals all around the world. You are bold, brave, you dare greatly, you innovate, you collaborate, you solve problems each and every day. That's why we celebrate you on Industrial Talk. We are broadcasting on site. It is Xcelerate 2025 here in Austin, Texas, brought to you by those wonderful people at Fluke Reliability. Go out to Fluke. See, that's it. It's a flukereliability.com. Is it? Or is it something? No. I think it's a little, there's a different.
There's a couple of different ways.
Yeah, just type in Fluke Reliability. You'll find it.
You'll get it.
Yeah, all avenues lead there. So do it because they are at the top of their asset management reliability. They've got solutions. They want to solve your problems, and they're nice people too to boot. All right, in the hot seat, Samantha. Samantha, how do you say your last name?
LeSesne.
LeSesne?
LeSesne, like the river. Yeah, LeSesne.
If I was geographically savvy, I would say, oh, wow, really? That's great. But I'm not. It's in France.
It is.
If I remember correctly.
In Paris, yeah.
Have you been to Paris?
Yeah. I've walked along the river, so it's great.
You know what it's sad because we were just in Paris this past year and we walked along the river, and of course Scott didn't really say, what river is this? Now I know.
Now you know.
Now I'm all embarrassed. Hey, do you know when were you in Paris?
When was the last time? I was there about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow. Did you
right
take the
before
electric
the Olympics.
bike? See, we were there right before the Olympics as well.
See? We probably passed each other and didn't even know.
I was on an electric bike.
Oh.
We rented those electric bikes. Yes, we were one of those
I
tourists.
value my bones far too much to get on one of those.
It was exhilarating as you tootle around Paris. Take me back, Calgon.
There you go.
Right.
You should make it a regular thing. Just keep going back.
Yeah, okay. But there's so many other places in Europe to sort of, walk around. All right. Before we get going, let's give us a little background on who Samantha is.
Who Samantha is? That's a great question.
Please.
Yeah.
Let's relive it.
I've definitely a bit of jack of all trades, we'll say. I was a teacher for a few years. Did teaching in New York City, so
No way.
Yeah, the
That's
fun
pretty cool.
places. The fun places.
Wow.
Taught middle school, which of course is the easiest age ever.
Never.
Right?
Says no one.
The years when you know exactly who you are and what you want to do.
Amazing. No way.
And then, I started working with Fluke about 8 years ago and did a couple of different things. Product marketing, did a stint with product management. So really working with our engineering team, figuring out how to work with customers, figure out how to make products that people actually wanted to use and invest their time in. And then for the last couple of years, I've been working very internally. Talking to the teams and working with our teams on figuring out what's the best way to do things. If you've got a problem, how do you solve it? If you have a gap in a process, how do you fix the gap? Doing things like that. So now I am the implementation and service director for eMate. So what's fantastic is I get to work with teams and customers a little bit more than I was for the last couple of years to figure out what's the best way for somebody to take eMate and the dream that was promised them during the sales process and make sure that it becomes a reality afterwards.
So you take the arrows. You're the one that sits down and says, well, that's not what they said.
Yeah, well, what we tried to do is maybe that's not what they said, but here's how we can make it work.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, for clarification, I'm always interested. You've mentioned it in your bio.
Yeah.
Process.
Yeah.
explain to us, just generally speaking, what that I have something in my mind of a process. Mm-hmm. Explain to us from a Fluke perspective what that process is.
Yeah, that's
what a process is.
What a process is. That's a great question, and you'll have to excuse me because I'm slightly visual, which is sometimes
visual.
Not. Sometimes not.
Again.
Yeah, I'll be waving my hands around. But essentially, if you have a point A and you have a desired state as your point B, what are the steps that are needed to get there? Right?
Sure.
At a very high level. And you can go, left or right. Yes, this is a yes. And then I'm not going to get into the diamonds and triangles of it all. But
I lived it for years and I understand it. You'd be talking to somebody that would say, no, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but, I find too sometimes that the processes we make overly complicated, right? We try to say, well, first it's got to go to Tim, and then it's got to go to Bill, and Bill's got to accept it here, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
Swipe all of that away. What is the fastest and most effective way for us to go from here to here? And then how do we make that happen? And a lot of times that's what customers want, right? And
do they really?
Well, that's a great question. But I think they have timelines and plans in their head.
Yeah.
Right, so they'll say, hey, I purchased something. I want to start using it as soon as I possibly can. And if you put too many roadblocks in, that's when they get dejected and they say, okay, well, I'm going to go start looking for something else because you guys aren't doing what I need to do. And so what we really want to do is to say, okay, what are your goals? How are we going to help you to get there as quickly as you can?
Do you, speaking of process,
do
you run an as-is map? Like this is the way you do it today.
Yeah.
And then you run, here's the two Bs. This is where we want to be. Yes. And then all of a sudden you're saying, see, these are gaps. This is where we need to bridge those gaps.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. We have we have what we call current state.
Yeah, as is.
Yeah, and future state.
To be.
Yes. Sometimes it's all about the language, right?
Yeah,
you just got to match the language.
It is.
And you sit down and you say, and I tell people, make it as dirty, your as is as dirty as it is.
Yeah.
Tell me what is the true statement. Because if you don't do that, if you say, oh, well, we're going to be nice to Bob and we're going to say that Bob does it this way. No, that's not how Bob does it, right? Do it how you really do it. Get dirty. And then we got to clean it.
Yeah. And I would imagine you're involved in you clean it. There's the process, but then you have to infuse the technology. So if I'm in eMate, where's there a handoff, and where's that document or whatever the process is? Because if you're looking at current state, over years and years and years, it's just been bastardized in a way, And now you're trying to take technology in a way that gives you a future state that is perfect.
Right. And a lot of times it's you have to be open to doing things that are slightly different.
Yes.
And you may say, hey, we had this plan and we were going to my future state was supposed to look like this, and you're like, okay, well, in order to get there, we can do that. Maybe we may need to have some extra layers there, and maybe it's not just eMate. Maybe we got to go and get some extra things to make this the best thing for you.
Yeah.
But at its core, you want to say, where are you going to be most effective, and how is that going to work with your team? And then how does the technology meet that need? It shouldn't be what does the technology do.
Yeah.
It should be how does the technology meet your need.
Yes. All right. She's hitting on all cylinders. Because I love conversations around. I think that all conversations need to start with mapping out a process.
Yes.
Identifying the way it is today and where you want it. I just think that's critical, or people are just talking around something and they're not hitting the target.
Yeah. Well, and what's fantastic at Fluke and inside Fluke Reliability as well is that we have these the rules that we play by, and we have champions who are perfect, who they spend months working on how do I learn how to be the best at mapping? How do I learn to be the best at problem solving? How do I learn to be the best at this? And we're now saying, okay, now that you guys know how to do that, go out into our workforce and teach that to other people, so that they can be really great people. I happen to be one of those people, those champions in process mapping. And so they're like, okay, here's a fantastic opportunity for us to look at how do we help not just our own selves, but how do we help the customer?
So the question is, do you do it internally and also externally?
We do it internally. Where we're moving to is going to be helping our customers do it. So when our customers come on board, we go through, especially for big customers that have multi-sites that are kind of all over. What does your current state look like? Where are you trying to go?
Yeah.
And we map it out. Do we agree? Both does the customer agree? Do we agree? And then that's our guide.
Yeah.
And then you can just run that to ground.
Yeah. See, I love it, man. I love it. This is great. This is great. So take us through your new role.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So I've got 2 core teams. One team is all implementation team. So when somebody comes on, so say you end your sales process and you're elated about having
you closed
eMate
the deal, now you got it.
Right. The first group that you'll start talking with we have implementation specialists, and their sole job is to get you up and running and using eMate as best you can. And so I manage that team. And then I also manage another team, and the team that I manage, the second team, is great because they're a bit introverted like me, and as a whole, because they work on doing a lot of the coding and a lot of the customization and saying, okay, if you have the standard that the implementation team sets you up with, but there's that gap between the standard and what you're trying to get to, that second team, my product specialist team, is so wonderful at saying, okay, here's how you can customize. Here's how we can take this field and make it work for this particular need. Here's how you have maybe another system, SAP or something else, and here's how we connect to that. And really working on kind of doing that extra, mostly the extra bow tie to finishing if you were wrapping a present, it's not just the wrapping paper, you got to put the bows on top, right? That's what they do.
It's absolutely important, because there's no company out there. I remember this is a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago when I started implementing systems. So when we implemented system, it was always the conversation, just take it off the shelf.
Yeah.
No customization. Just take it off the shelf. And that never is it never.
No. And what is crazy too is that, and it's not crazy. You understand how it happens. How customers, even within the same company at different sites, will have their own unique way of doing things. Will need their own slightly different set of things. So even when you say, "Hey, we're going to standardize this for your company," you have to then take it to that next level and say, okay, well, what is it that each site needs? Because then if you don't get it to where they want it, they're not going to use it.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like,
no user compliance.
Yeah. That tool over there that's working, it's
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
It's a fine line. And when you have a company that has multiple divisions and they're using eMate for but we don't call it that, we call it this, and we want that, and we send this data through it. And you're right, it's that user acceptance, that usability, that if they don't use it, if they don't like it, holy moly, you don't like that.
Well, because they just, like you said before, they just won't use it, right?
They won't. And then they'll complain about it. And then it just starts to fester. And then they're like, okay.
Yeah. And, the next year, we tried that thing 5 years ago and it didn't work.
Yes.
And, so we try to make it so that it's usable in a way where everybody can say, hey, I find value out of it. Right, because as soon as you find value, even if you need to tweak things a little bit, so maybe you use the different terms, instead of as is, you say current state.
Right.
But if people get comfortable with it and they get to the point where they're able to say, hey, I find true value and I can see how this is making my job better, not more of a drag or a time suck or I'm doing duplicate work.
Yeah.
If I can make my day better with this, then I'm going to be actively using it. And I'm not only am I going to be actively using it, I'm going to find my own ways to make it a little bit better. And hey, my customer success manager, or hey, product specialist, can we do these 5 things too? And that's what really makes it sing, I think.
Yeah, but I think we're at a point too that eMate and many of the solutions that are here are highly customizable.
Yeah.
Are highly intuitive and interactive, so that you do optimize the use of that tool.
Right. And you do it at multiple levels too.
Yes.
Right? And then that's the important thing is as I think everyone is aware that gone are the days. So my father and my mother did engineering, and they used to talk about being in a room far away from management, and they were they got to do their own thing. We've moved away from that. Now corporations, you've got C-level people who are wanting to know the details and wanting to get into it. So what's great about eMate is you can have stuff for your techs, you can have stuff for your maintenance managers and your reliability engineers. Right. You can also have dashboards that are totally ready to send up to leadership to say, here's
the big thinkers.
Yeah, the ones with the grand ideas.
That's right.
But to be able to show them, like, hey, we're doing our job and we're doing it well. Yeah. We're finding ways to save money for the company, and we should we should get that props. So. Yeah.
Where do you see some of this stuff going? Like, put your future hat on. There's a lot of buzz around AI. There's a lot of buzz around collecting more data. Having, just where do you see it going?
Yes, I do think AI has.
I see it going.
I see it going. Yeah. AI has a role to play.
Yeah.
We've been talking over the last couple of days about the fact that you can't get away from AI. It's been here for a while. I think that's what some people, they have seen that progression, and so for some people, it started with ChatGPT, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But really, what we're saying is, how can you do things faster, right? And that's where I think we can take. Yes, you can go and get more data, but who's going to analyze it? It's not you. You need the AI to do it.
Yeah.
And what then allows the average technician, the average maintenance manager to do is to then say, hey, I'm putting my thinking cap on, and the data that comes out of this tool is telling me to do this. Is that really what I need to do? And then they can have that overriding, an analysis on top of it.
You do that with Azima.
Yeah.
Where you have you have the tool, you have the data lake, you have the immense amount of data to be able to ping off of, but then you also have that human interface that says,
right,
yeah, or no, or whatever.
Right. And embracing AI is the best way to look at it, because you have a situation where I think some people are fearful, right? And I'm going to lose my job, or I'm going to do that. Mm-mm. Someone who is able to look at the data that's coming out of the AI that tells them this is what you should be doing, but they're able to say, yes, I actively believe in that, or here's the anomaly that I'm seeing in the data, so I need to take it out.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are going to be able to say, I can use this effectively, and I have a place in this new world.
Yeah, we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
I mean, we still, and I think that there's a speed issue. Technology is always going to be faster than the human side, and it's how do you keep it in line? Because I know that many in the world of manufacturing or industry, whatever, they're not there.
No.
They're not even close. They're trying to do reliability.
I'm aging myself here a bit, and me and my
talk
gray
to
hairs.
the hand.
But I came up I think the coolest thing to me when I was in high school was that my dad had a cell phone in one of the little cases, and it was the size of a
right.
The microphone
yeah,
there.
Exactly.
But to see where we are now, and you wouldn't have even imagined that 25 years ago.
No, not even.
And so to see that go from there to there in 25 years, but in 2 years, see the progression that we've had in AI. You're right. It's moving so fast, and sometimes, I was talking about this yesterday with somebody. What's unique about AI versus in the maintenance world in particular is we have a lot of people coming up with all of these grand ideas, and sometimes they miss what are the actual realities on the floor. And I'm hoping with eMate and with Fluke Reliability, we're able to capture these two groups and bring them together to say, okay, what is it that's truly needed on the floor? And how does AI really help to do that? Rather than say, hey, we're going to make something that is neat and cool to look at. And when you take it to somebody who's on the floor, they're saying, well, I that's not practical for me to use, right? So you have to find the practical in there to say, what is your pain point? And then how does what we're doing help to solve that?
I think you're touching upon blocking and tackling using a sports analogy that you've just got to do the blocking and tackling of reliability, of managing your assets in a way that is effective and truly leveraging the tool of eMate.
Yeah.
And doing it right without pencil whipping it, get the data right. Do things that are really blocking and tackling, and then you can go into this, other realm.
You're still going to have people doing routes. You're still going to have people, who've got to go and turn the wrench, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, you have to.
And what we're saying is now all that it is that once you have that data that you've gone and picked up as you've made your route, how do we take that and make that into something meaningful for you?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Nothing. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. See, I like that. I like back to what is real. All right. How do people get a hold of you? Samantha.
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn, Samantha LeSesne. Come find me. I'd love to talk to you.
There you go. You need to connect with her. There. For what it's worth, you need to connect with her.
Go.
She has mad skills, and you can tell that she's passionate about your success. So you need to talk to people that understand where you're at and what to do. And of course, she likes processes, so I like processes. And I love that. All right, we're broadcasting from Xcelerate 2025. We are in Austin, Texas. It's brought to you by Fluke Reliability. And you can tell by the buzz in the background, there's a lot of people chirping and talking and solving problems, which is always a wonderful thing. All right, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Yeah, Fluke Reliability. They got their act together. They got great people. Samantha, right there, talking process. Oh, I love process conversations. They reap such incredible rewards. If you do it right, if you just sort of set your ego off to the side, it's about that process, and you really hash it out, great things can definitely happen. I love processes. Keep it simple. Just make it boxes and, other boxes. Nothing fancy. Yeah. Connect with Samantha. Find out more about processes. Xcelerate was the event. It was fantastic. All right. Industrial Talk is here for you. If you're in need of marketing, we've been doing it. We've got a team of individuals that do a great job. Just reach out. industrialtalk.com. Find out more. All right. Be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Hang out with Samantha, and you will change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.